Thank you all coming out tonight for the Boroughs of New York. I'm joined by Alan A.W. Wu and our patriarch over there, Bill Savvy Savarese. Thanks, everyone, for showing up on a Memorial Day weekend, Monday night. Thank you, Godfather Mark Mancini out there, wherever you are. God bless, and everybody, and all you viewers out here, thanks for joining in. Hey, boys, what's going on this weekend? You guys doing good? All right, don't
Very
answer
well.
all at once. How you guys doing? You guys doing good? Savvy, you doing good? AW?
Very well, very well. I'm doing a lot of walking. I live around the corner. Yeah.
So
Doing a lot of walking. I live around the corner from my own college, and I'm walking through the college. And
Just
a lot of walking. A lot of being with my family. Alan, what you got? There you go. Tooling around the house here, around the backyard.
That sounds like the usual routine for yours truly. I've been having a lot of fun. Everyone's doing fine here at the household here downstate in Brooklyn. I spent the usual Memorial Day weekend. Thank goodness the Coca-Cola 600 was on last night. I had some fun watching a ridiculous race that was decided by a caution that Brad Keselowski won. It is a little bit different, but at the same time, you know, it's all the same usual. I went to get food on Sunday, and it's still crazy to see a lot of shuttered stores. I don't think it was just for Memorial Day weekend. Sporting goods stores, a lot of 99-cent stores. The bike run was really good. The weather's getting much warmer finally, even though it is almost June. I'm just psyched to be back on over here and psyched to be able to get back on. I'm going to just hit a message for Brecca. How has it been for you, Coach Mick?
Well, let me tell you something. My wheels are always turning, boys. I'm going to tell you something. First of all, you guys dig the hat? You guys dig the hat?
Very much.
Love it.
So
FL Fort Lee, got it. Know it well. Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Exactly. So, you know, me, I'm always ahead of the curve. I'm like this dinosaur guy, coach, 35 years coaching youth baseball. So Friday, Murphy over here in Jersey says he ups the public gathering from 10 to 25. So I'm like, oh, interesting, blah, blah, blah. Saturday comes around, it's raining and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to get these boys on the field. So what I did was I texted all my parents and I say, look, I'm taking my son Dylan out, going to the field for exercise. And no bats, no balls, no gloves. And if you guys want to join, you join. And the next thing you know, dude, I had about 12 kids on yesterday that showed up. And we did our social distancing. And let me tell you something, boys. If you ever saw the original Bad News Bears when they were running around the bases and like Engelbert is running around and he's like gassed and sucking wind, or like John Candy is he's like sucking wind in the movie Stripes when he's like going out and get this. These kids, 9, 10 years old, were gassed in a matter of like 40 minutes. Their bodies just were totally out of shape. It was hysterical. Let me tell you something. Hysterical. So I did it again today. You know what? I'm going to do it because I want these kids to be in shape. At some point, they're going to have to lift it, and these kids are going to have to get going. Now, Savvy, from what I understand, staying in this topic, is that true that, there's going to be some action in June in New York up there by you?
The travel leagues in Westchester County is supposed to start on June 20th. However, things could happen with COVID, but the teams are going to go out this weekend. And Governor Cuomo came out and said all the big league teams should come up here and practice at Citi Field and at Yankee Stadium. They should start their spring trainings right now. He opened it up to them. So that's all they had to hear out here. Because today out here, I saw some of the kids out playing ball already, getting ready with their teams and their fathers and everything. But yeah, they're scheduled. Unless, I do a lot of umpiring in youth sports, and we got our umpire schedule. We had to start opening up their availability as far as Saturday, June 20th.
Yeah, that's awesome news. Over here in Jersey, dude, it is like, it's like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, first of all, I don't think Murphy takes his, our kids seriously. They just thinks it's recreational, but these kids have been locked in for like almost 3 months now, and they need to really start to get themselves in shape, and
sure.
And if you got to give us a go ahead here because these kids are dying. Over here in Jersey, we had like the New Jersey Baseball Coalition do a petition They got probably 8,000 vote signers.
That's a good idea.
To get Murphy to move, but he won't. And I mean, you know, Murphy doesn't think it's a business, but you understand it affects so much, just like a regular little league or a club team or a travel team.
Exactly. They're losing money like crazy.
I mean, I take my kid to these great travel facilities, these baseball facilities indoors, and they're shut. And those guys carry massive nuts. I mean, just for rent alone, to be shut down for like 3 months. And now, Savvy, now it's outdoors. I mean, these guys ain't going to be busy. So you don't know if they're going to be surviving. So, these guys these politicians got to start waking up and saying, pay for our kids' mental health. They got to get these kids out. Let me tell you something. How many kids put on weight? And it's not like rocks. It's like weight. It's like flat. You got to get them in baseball shape. Got to get them in baseball shape. They're not
doing anything.
They're not. And
they're going to get Tommy John surgery. These kids have got to throw. They're going to try and pitch.
Yeah, you can't just throw
way out of shape.
You can't just throw a kid out there with no like 2-3 weeks of getting in shape. You got to throw a kid out there. He's going to rip his shoulder.
No, you can't throw a big leaguer out there either.
No.
Yeah, so, it's just like the big leagues. The kids got to get in tune. They got to run wind sprints. They have to get their throwing motion down. They have to long toss and everything. They got to get ready.
Yeah, I didn't even do a bat ball or any equipment. I just had these kids stretch out.
Yeah, you probably weren't able to.
They were running in quicksand. These, what I'm saying? Like, and you got to start to really think about these kids. I mean, they're cooped up in a house. Now they're getting some energy on. Well, they woke up this morning. My kid woke up this morning. He's like, I'm aching. I'm like, welcome. So,
all over the place.
Yeah. AW, what do we got going on in MLB?
They have to get out.
But just to continue off of your point, you referenced this article about the New Jersey parents petitioning the governor, Murphy. Yes, by Brent Johnson at the New Jersey Advanced Media, NJ.com on May 22nd. I mean, this is an ongoing trend, first of all. I mean, absolutely. It's brutal for a lot of these families. And, there's an agenda that these kids switch to. It's absolutely a great point that you bring up, to which I personally, if I may interject, since we're already going into the Worldview Plaza, it was my fault. I put in my politics and worldview in there. Personally, from my standpoint, I have no problems going to the supermarket. I have no problems lining up next to somebody, a mask or no mask even. I'm just most concerned about the testing issue. And I'm really fascinated why there is a justified movement to get everything opened again. And then there's no testing out there. I think that's really a wild card situation.
Wearing masks.
And you wear masks, wash your hands. There's the usual. And I was talking with you guys about, my business. I have, I'm in the hobby of battle of trading cards. We have tabletop gamers and the Final Fantasy community. We're starved to get back into business as well. And we have partners. We have partners who want us back. They will love to invite us back. And, we're still on pins and needles. This is a business where you are close quarters. You are interacting, where I don't even think even a mask and gloves are enough over there. Well, and we want to be able to be back as well. And I think the biggest X factor right now, testing, which is why I'm very glad that you brought that up. We were talking about it, and we're going to go into a little bit more later on in the show in terms of what is going to happen with the collegiate baseball scene, not just, the impact that they already have from their seasons getting canned, but also the impact from recruiting as well. We can get into a lot of that. I was bringing up the headline here. The headline you were referring to is that the time is nigh for the next critical Major League Baseball players in a union and executives meeting. It's coming in tomorrow. By this time in 24 hours, we will know a crucial development as to how much more the owners are going to budge and how much more the players are going to budge. Everybody and their aunt has been speaking up about this whole thing. This article from R.J. Anderson from CBS Sports, Major League Baseball Players Association, responded to the league's testing and safety protocols. And of course, I've been looking for that article about Eric Burns, the former Los Angeles Dodgers player who just today also spoke up and said, everyone's got to have perspective. He's taking the side of, I don't know if exclusively he's taking the team's executive sides, but he is saying it is bad form for the players to speak up. A little similar to what Alex Rodriguez said when I brought up the article from Awful Announcing last week about how a lot of former players, with all due respect to the name, has-beens, have been speaking up. Chipper Jones, another respectable house name. They're all household names. They're all awesome. And, I can't say enough about how much they paved the way for baseball, but I think it's just personally really funny that a lot of players who are no longer contractually obligated are the ones saying, well, you got to get it together. You have to put it up, get the baseball, get playing again, and worry about perspective because, a lot of people in America, again, yes, essential workers are not getting paid, and you're the guys complaining about getting paid. Well, the reality is Eric Burns, to which I say, are you on the hook for any of the money? Is this your money that you're directly losing? I know as a commentator, fine, but yeah, here it is. Pardon the S-bomb language from TMZ Sports. It's 12 a.m. in the Pacific. Yeah, earlier this morning, it was Eric Burns writing up and it just says over here, I don't think anyone in our society right now wants to hear about the bickering between billionaires and millionaires. No one wants to hear your petty arguments between ownership and players right now. Understandable statement. I mean, if you want to go into my worldview from last week, you can go up to the last week's show. The VOD is on the Stables Network, video on demand. It's fine. It's all fair. It's all proper. It's your right to say whatever you want to. But ultimately, the players are going to be risking as much as tennis players are risking. The tennis players are back. NASCAR's back. I think the NASCAR community's risking it by going out there. Because what is another week? I mean, what is one day? What is another week? That's only my standpoint over here. And we're going to know a lot more. Of course, my word only means so much. The meeting tomorrow is really going to be where we find out a lot more about the direction it's going to go, and the direction of, well, what the players ask for, what the owners ask for. CBS has a correspondent, has a commentator who's saying that he does not believe there's going to be a big change in the split, that owners have I'm going to see if I can put it up here. It's Sampson. Is Sampson one of the very knowledgeable names in baseball for the last few years? He did a little commentary, a 40-minute video. He's not very happy with the way the media has portrayed this entire discussion, the way that they've explained the whole thing, which, surprise, surprise, ESPN embraced debate. I went into that last week as well. Yeah, he's already giving his 40-minute long podcast. I won't be able to share over here, but that's another fascinating listen that you guys need to check out, that I hope everyone gets to check out about, what is an expenditure, what is a revenue, exactly what is baseball losing, and why, the media is not portraying it very popularly. It's very fascinating. And it's just, I told you, Coach and Savs, that when we were going to do a Monday show, that not a lot of headlines always happens on the Monday. It always happens on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So I'm sorry, everyone. It's a wait and see thing.
That's all right.
But it's fascinating for me to look into, because tomorrow is going to be a pretty big day. It's going to be really important.
Hey, Savvy, what do you think?
Important.
What do you think
very
about?
Important day.
Yeah, Savvy, let's touch upon this. Savvy, what do you think, being a baseball historian and stuff like this, what do you think how it's going to play out? I mean, you're not Karnak, for whatever, but what do you think?
Well, the way I see it is they have to bend on both sides. The players are always going to be looked at as greedy because of the amount of money they make, and people forget about the owners and the franchises, and they forget about the people that are working in the concession stands. And if they can't have any fans in the ballpark, they're going to still not be having their jobs. You can have the TV people. They have to come together. I think that it's going to end up, they have to play, because they know that if they don't play this season, they should know this, because they can't decide on a money negotiation. I think it's going to turn the country off. I think it's going to be like back in 1990.
Yeah, and that's
they're going to have a tough time bringing it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we touched upon that last week with that. Do we want to go back to 94? But the players do have some legit issues. First of all, these guys get banged up and stuff like that, and there's no hot tub and this other stuff, stuff like that. That's you got to get that kind of rectified too. The revenue share. Look, you don't even know how many people even go to this. If they're going to talk about season tickets and all that stuff, it's listen. I'll give you an example. We ran our league. We ordered like 100 tickets to a Met game at Citi Field against the Nationals, for one of those Little League nights,
Okay.
For the beginning of June. We canceled, and,
Sure.
how many people are really going to go? You don't know. So how do you
That's
determine that kind of revenue?
A lot of people, they want to stay away. And they're worried about it. Exactly. They're going to lose that revenue. No, the owners are going to lose revenue. Listen, and the players have to understand that. So, but they both have, like I say, they both have to come to a meeting of minds.
Yeah, I think
they're going to end up playing, and I would hope by the 4th of July.
I think what they usually should do is have like the regular salary if they prorated it for the 81 games or whatever the case may be. They start with that, and then you see how it goes at the end. You don't know. Chances are, I think once they get on and they play the politics on the side of it, where the players and the owners stop, and once they get the game going, you're going to see what your real audience is going to be. I mean,
exactly.
You can't call out on anything to the unknown. So I think they should.
They're going to feel their way through it.
Start the base and then come up with some kind of like tiers, viewership or whatever. I mean, paid seats. I mean, everybody's taking a hit here. Everybody's definitely taking a haircut on this.
That's for sure.
AW, what do you think about that?
Totally. The reality is everyone's taking a play. It goes back to why I brought up the conversation about not only is it a tabletop ordeal, are people going to come back into the ballpark? Are people going to go into the barber shop? Are they going to be able to eat out? Are they going to be able to go to the voting place? Because it's also election season. I'm also a translator at my local poll site. So the big factor is indeed, how people are willing to go outside. To what extent will they go outside? I wanted to go to a concert for that video game, for the Final Fantasy video game, and there's wondering if that's going to happen, and that's down in August. I mean, the reality is I'm showing up another headline from the SNY website about the new health restrictions that was written from last week. I do not think we got to cover that whole thing. Yeah, if you wanted to bet onto what exact kind of concessions we're looking at in terms of what the television deal, I do know that the NCAA, they got a sweetheart little way out with CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. They didn't have to pay for the games and they're lucky because the college kids, they're only paid in scholarships. A lot of stuff is wild cards. I mean, spring training, the money's already there. A lot of checks have already been cashed, I am led to believe. So it's not like, that's going to be one crucial concession point. Like, you already sold the ads. You already got your ad times in for the games in March and a little bit of February. You're showing old-timey games, and there's a contract for that, the old-time games on Yes Network and SNY. So that's exactly what we're looking at for that meeting tomorrow, as to see, well, the so-and-so kind of deal on the budget, on that business plan. This part is going to be good. You have this part. You have this part. And if you really think that the players are going to be asking for too much, well, why don't you open the books? Mark Mancini on his Facebook page was saying, well, you know what? It's high time that you, the baseball executives, open your books. Be open about it. Be transparent about it. Call the players out on their bluff. And that's what I really wonder. And we don't want to pick apart Pittsburgh Pirates because he did mention Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other teams out there who don't want to open the books.
But AW, let's put it this way. It's a private company. These things are privately. These are privately owned businesses. All right. To call out to open up the books is, to me, that's just playing the politics. That's listen. I know there's always union negotiations and everything, but I mean, come on, let's be realistic. These owners are taking a haircut. A big time haircut, and you want them to really open up their books. They're taking a haircut already, and they're the ones that I'm not defending the owners and I'm not defending the players, but I'm just being realistic here. You're demanding to open up the books. They're already at a loss. They're already taking a beating. Okay, so how much more do you want from that side? I mean. So what if the owners make a couple extra bucks? Should they have to do something like that? I mean, they're the ones at the end of the day. At the end of the day, listen, this is where it comes down to, and correct me if I'm wrong. We have the players who are the front liners. These are the guys that are going to go out and risk getting this and everything else. But the guys who are paying them and everything, they're already taking a beat. They're really taking a financial beat. And so I don't know. I think that's a little crossing over the line, demanding to open up the books. Savvy, what do you think about that?
Well, it's a little bit like asking President Trump to show us his tax returns. If they don't have to open up the books, they won't. I really think that they're in a tough situation. And actually, the players' unions always ask for the owner's books, and the owner's never going to open up every.
Why would they?
I think that's unrealistic. I do agree with you. However,
Hey,
in this particular situation, I think that.
No, you can go ahead. I was just going to scroll up an article about from Brett Taylor from Bleacher Nation about, the players are reportedly asking owners to open the books. And this perspective from a week ago, Savs can finish his thought by all means.
Go ahead, Savvy.
Yeah, well, so what I really want to see now is I want to see that the players are going to come to the table with a frame of mind that they want to play. Because some of them, I think, are like Bryce Harper and a couple of guys, Brett Snell, they're talking about, is it worth it? Now, they bring that to the public that it's not worth it, and they're going to talk about their families, but, we're all in that same boat. So my thing is a bunch of them may not play, but they got to go on and play baseball if they don't want to play, but then they got to forfeit their whole season salary if they don't play. So they have
and then also you got to remember, not everyone's a millionaire in there. You got a lot of young, baseball's changed. You got a lot of young ball players out there now making, not pennies, but
what's the minimum salary now?
But they also want to get going as well, So, and then you got the older guys that are just still trying to cling on and even get a job. So it's again, we always said this, it's a slippery slope, but I just think that if they get to start off with the base and then you can kind of see how it feels out, because, you can't demand something that may not exist. AW, what you got there?
Yeah, he was asking about the minimum salary for baseball. It went up in 2019 November at $560K.
Yeah.
$560K for your perspective. I believe Blake Snell, since we mentioned him, and he was the guy who tweeted his displeasure. Blake Snell was one of those guys that got paid minimum. He had a Cy Young campaign a few years ago. So particularly speaking, yes, if you were talking about that thing, this is all easy for us to say, yes, owners don't need to play that, they're only going to be able to. The question is, do they have a choice, and do they have the leverage? Do they really want to be able to, get that leverage for themselves and make the case? I don't know how else they're going to make the case, though. And absolutely, yes, owners are making the money. The quote by Sampson from CBS Sports, he was saying that Major League Baseball owners do not make a business strictly on the owning the team itself. Being an executive of the basis, there's very few people are like that. Like the Miami Heat owner, he also has Carnival Cruises in his portfolio. Yeah. He's not making money on the Heat, the basketball team, even when he was making a title. So that is absolutely a huge thing right there. And if you make the case, I think that's what it's going to take. I mean, exactly. Yeah, they have every right to. It is what it is. They're gonna, whether they want to do it is up to them right now. But I don't really know. Like in terms of leverage, if I really had to say it with a straight face, I think it's 50-50 in the country that, some people side the players. They want the players to be able to take their deal, take their cut, and be happy with it. And some are saying, well, hang on a second. How much is a beer at Citi Field? $15 and change? What exactly is the ownership doing? You mean to tell me that they can't get any money? But, of course, the wild card is testing. I'll gladly be the first guy to say testing. How are you going to get the fans back on over there if they can't even get work around going inside a Popeyes, which is they still have their seats up. Those are all very good questions, and we all have to look at that. If you guys wanted to round up that convo.
Yeah. Well, Savvy, let's go back to, the college issues now that's going to start coming up down the pipe. You got high school seniors coming out, and then you got the, NCAA gave the seniors a special waiver to come back and take another year. What's that? How is that is really going to be an impact to this? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the first impact is going to be on the freshmen because it depends on how many seniors will come back. I really think that people are going to start their lives, and I don't know how many seniors will come back. If you're talking about big time Division I, there might be a bunch who are not going to go into the NFL or something or the NBA. But in most of the levels, Division II, Division III, I don't think you're going to see the people coming back. They're going to graduate unless they stay for their graduate school and go for another year. It's really going to have an impact on the incoming freshmen, and it's also changing the way college recruiters, baseball coaches especially, and you should know this, are looking at baseball players now. They can't have these showcases this summer or until late in the summer, and that's where the colleges go to see the ball players. Really, more than they used to go to high school games, they go to these showcases now. And so they got to do a lot of it on video, a lot of recruiting on last year's performance. And we had a few players up here because I umpire high school baseball, like I've said, and we have a few people who were being scouted and they couldn't play baseball this year, and hopefully they can play over the summer. But they were looking for those showcases, especially the incoming seniors, from junior to senior year. That summer is big for recruiting, for college recruiting. Yeah. Usually by the time your senior year comes,
you kind of, and
you're going to your schools before the end of
you got these guys, you got these seniors that right now they're like borderline trying to get into a D3 and stuff like that. And I think that's where the real cluster is going to come from, is D3 schools. And I think, sometimes half these guys are on a 5-year plan anyway. So, so I think, you might have that as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Very interesting. What do you got up here, AW?
On a related topic, it was just really fascinating. I was just glancing over NJ.com sports section, and on the topic of the prospects of the kids going on campus and playing sports. This is a general sports issue about football. The University of Michigan won't have a football season this fall unless all of their students are back on campus for classes, and they have some degree of doubt as to whether there'll be college athletics at all in the fall. This is from Brett McMurphy at the Stadium website, and this was posted on the 24th. Michigan to derail Big Ten athletics, Rutgers just to be sensational. NJ coronavirus. So you're speaking to a guy who took classes at Rutgers. He went to Rutgers. He got on the banks here. Brett McMurphy, yes, that's his Twitter, and this is going to be absolutely something to also keep your eyes on. I think it is still, there's a lot of universities in conference and other conferences, they're still taking day-by-day approach. So that's another fascinating thing on top of, how they get back in shape, the difference between how they pay out scholarships. And because from what I heard in my own worldview is that a lot of universities, the universities themselves decide how much they subsidize, how much scholarships they give out. There is no NCAA mandated minimum maximum. So it's all very, very interesting and complicated. And your school, how many your school gives out will vary. So ultimately the be all and end all is how much the university wants to make money or not. I'm going to see if I can pull up another article about how Pat Hobbs has commented on the state of adjusting coronavirus. The recruitment. Really, the R word, the big R word about this whole time is, how do colleges try to not cede a big disadvantage when they start out? The NCAA has their own restriction on recruiting, which is really fascinating. And it does show you that, college sports is a big deal now, that they have to govern any team that has an unfair head start against each other, which is a really nasty implication that the coronavirus did give out, because there are restrictions.
Sure. Right. Notre Dame has already said they're not going to go back to school. It's all going to be virtual for the first semester, and they're going to push back the first semester and into November.
So in reality, if all the universities are going to go to distance learning, there isn't going to be no fall collegiate sports then. That'd be correct, right?
I would imagine.
You can't have.
I mean, if Michigan won't play.
But Alabama will. And Alabama will play. And LSU will play, but the Big Ten might not play, or whatever or any university in California, for God's sake.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, how do you if half a conference is shut down, how do you have the rest of the conference
how do you play your schedule?
So
If Michigan doesn't play, that's a game on everybody's Big Ten schedule. Michigan State doesn't play Michigan, then Iowa doesn't play Michigan. Ohio State doesn't play Michigan. So that's one game less on everybody's schedule if they're playing and Michigan doesn't.
Yeah, but if you got 12 teams in the conference and 6 are not playing, I mean, what good is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Now you got to reschedule your games and try to get.
And then that affects the bowl bids, the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
it's really crazy.
It's
really crazy. The scheduling is going to be out the window.
Well, it comes down to ideology and stuff like that. What do you want to do here with these kids going back to school and stuff? I always believe that if you gave universities and said, you guys got to figure it out, they will. They can. But if you're going to be, overthrown by one person at the head of the state government, that's not the way. I always believe, like I believe in my world, small businesses know how to open up their businesses. You got to give them the option. And the same thing with the universities and the schools. They know how to do it. And if you're just going to shut them down, I mean, you're talking major money. And then what happens to the kids who are on the scholarship?
Absolutely.
What happens to them? And then you start looking at all that. And then what happens to that year of eligibility and everything? It starts becoming crazy. AW, what do you think?
They got to reinstitute new rules again.
Wow.
Yeah, they got to make new rules
again.
Eligibility,
or you extend it. Comes down to that same thing again.
How do you extend it? That's going to be an NCAA decision. But the reality of it is, with all this going on, how do you play football in the fall? The kids all over each other and smacking each other around. Well, I could see playing baseball. Basketball doesn't start till November.
Believe it or not, Savvy, there's guys that know how to do it. But they know how to do it. A government bureaucrat does not know how the safety of a football player on the field.
Oh yeah.
Football players and coaches.
Oh, I understand how they know how to implement the schedule. Yeah.
No, but how are you
going to keep them socially distant?
There's a risk in everything. Okay. And it comes down to the safety of the players. And we're talking about baseball and we're still talking about it. It's still you're out there. First thing you got to do is eliminate anybody that's sick coming in first. That's the first thing. And two,
you got to test.
Yeah, if you want to test, you test. But the other thing that you need to do is you can, with all the protection and everything, you guys can, there's football knows how to do it. I believe every sport knows how to do it because they're already, remember, we're talking always about making money, right? It's always about making money. So there's a way of making money.
That's the bottom line. You're with it, Mike.
So they'll figure out safety. Could you just imagine if the NFL said, no, we're not doing it? Yeah, you out of your mind? There's no way. They're going to figure it out how to do it. They just will. I don't see Rodgers.
Yeah, the NFL is a whole different entity. Yeah, that's for sure.
No way. He's going to make sure that those guys are going to be safe as possible. That and take it from there because the owners are going to take a piece.
Sure, but again, it all depends on what goes on with the virus.
Now, look.
Yeah,
we have to go on with our lives. I mean,
there's an uptick. Sure.
Yeah, we have to go on with our lives. That's easy to say until you know whether or not these people are. I tell that to the folks that are most exposed, which not just Chinese people. I'm not talking on behalf of Chinese people. I know the stats about the Hispanics, the stats about Black people, again, the people in Coney Island. That's totally understandable. I was just going to bring up, in terms of the revenue, how they're going to, what exactly the cost is going to be. The irony here, Rutgers. $4.6 billion budget for its campuses. It's actually half of what Michigan and Ohio State spends. It's the lowest sports budget in the conference.
That's crazy.
You know that from watching Big Ten Network and seeing 20 people at the football game for Rutgers football.
Rutgers is back. Rutgers football is back. Rutgers football is packed. Now with Shiano back, it'll be back.
Yeah, on a good day, on a student games, blackout night, yes, they are packed. They're packed. And
those Army.
Yeah, it is. So the interesting thing is also advertising is that wild card on this attempt. Are they going to get a lot of the businesses to get back in? I have reason to believe that they can get a lot of advertising money going in. It's not just a football team. I can believe wrestling makes them a lot of advertising money. Even women's gymnastics these days. There's an economist. His name is David. I'm trying to remember what Berri. I'm trying to remember this guy's name. I listened to him talk on a podcast, an incredibly in-depth guy. He was one of those guys that testified for the Northwestern NCAA case about players unionizing. He testified there, and he said, no matter how small, obscure the program is, if a school can advertise and monetize from that program in and of itself, even if they're not on ESPN every single time, even if they don't have the contest. So I that's why I brought it up. The article that I had showed up over here about Rutgers AD Pat Hobbs trying to stretch dollars in pandemic is from Pandagraph, Randy Scherer, Sharer. In terms of what else we're trying to get at to finish it up, wrap up the point, we're just trying to see if this is the case that University of Michigan makes this and Notre Dame. I'm curious to see what happens in the next month, because now we're proposing something 2 months in advance. I believe the college students for athletes, they have to come back a little bit earlier. A lot of college kids were going to take summer courses anyways,
sure,
as I've experienced. So it's happening much faster.
They got to practice from August 15th.
It's happening at a much faster clip. It's not just, the baseball's commitment. That was the thing that Barry was bringing up over here. I do not know why I'm blanking on his name. This is the Memorial Day diet that I'm trying to work off over here about, everything's a haze. We'll all have to practice again. Dr. David Barry, Berri. I recommend this. I pay attention to the Gymcastic podcast. The way they're doing it, Jessica O'Byrne, Spencer Barnes, they cover not just the World Championship Olympics gymnastics. They also did a lot of great Larry Nassar horrible sex abuse commentary into who knew what and how it could happen with Team USA. Well, David Barry went on and he gave a very nice interview explaining his work, his studies into sports economics and sports business. It's literally must listen. It's half the podcast. And if you want to understand, think there are a lot of implications he made about the coronavirus thing coming in and, how the schools have to adjust. So you can go ahead. What was the point you were going to make?
Go ahead, Savvy.
Well, what I would say now, with what's coming up with, especially as college football, you were talking about when they got to come back. I think the date is August 15th that they got to be back for all the fall sports, but especially football. Now, Mickey was saying Alabama and those guys in LSU, they're going to play. So they're going to be down there and they're going to be sweating like maniacs and going to be all over each other. And if nobody comes up with any kind of, COVID-19, then the rest of the country is going to see that they might have a little bit more confidence. But what happens when 1 kid, 2 kids get it? You're going to see a lot of things being, shaken up and leery. It's the same thing with baseball. If baseball comes, they're talking about they can't. And Adam Silver with basketball is talking about, well, we're not going to stop it if 1 guy tests positive like we did the last time. Well, what if it's 3? What if it's LeBron James? What if football starts and it's Tom Brady? They're going down a slippery slope here, gentlemen.
Well, let's look at Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing got it right. Right, Patrick.
Exactly. Thank God he's doing all right.
He's all right, and I think they just have to have a lot of contingency plans. And again, but let's just think about this. How you start talking about college football? That's big money. Big money. Yeah.
Especially Division One.
And you still got the NFL, big money. And you know what? I think the players we're gonna see that start to happen. What happens with the players? What they're gonna do? How they're gonna be protected, and what their protocols are gonna be. And they're probably gonna look at somewhat what baseball does on the travel side. But those guys get really banged up. That's a full contact sport there. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I just don't see Roger Goodell not getting this going. And I don't see the NCAA not letting go. There's too much money. And that's when you're going to see the politics of, especially on the NCAA side, it's about the money. It's not about the student athlete risk, because of
that's the problem. They could push it back to October.
Yeah, well, listen, they can play. I mean, but listen, I'm not an expert in that stuff, but I just think they'll figure it out if you let them figure it out. But if the universities are going to be closed and they're closing premature because you're still going another month, think about we're Memorial Day weekend and we're talking about going back to school sometime in August,
right?
And you just can't just shut everything down without even giving it a shot. Kids are paying
Yeah,
big
some
money to go
schools
to
are making
college.
decisions. Yeah.
You know, and
Sure.
then and so you got those other players. You know, you got those people, the regular kids that don't go, that don't play sports, and they're paying big money to be distance learned. Come on, it's crazy. I just think it's crazy. I think
I hear
universities
you.
can figure it out especially with technology. I think they can figure it out. Um, the campuses, I think they can figure it out. And the kids, what I call the schmuck rule, don't be a schmuck. Just just be vigilant and do your thing. If you're sick, you stay home, you know, or get to the doctor as fast as possible. I think everybody in this country knows that. So I hope everything does work out. I hope the NFL does and the NCAA, but of course, you want it to be as safely as possible.
We'll see.
We don't know. We don't know if this thing is going to burn through or it's going to come back. We don't know anything. Nobody yet does. So
to your point,
That's
yeah, for the international viewers, I mean, the politicians in the country are still debating over Medicare for all and make sure everyone's insured with health. You know, yeah, you're right. Yeah, if you're sick, stay home. I would like some assurance that if you do have sick, that are you going to stay home and forfeit that paycheck? It goes back to the burdens of monetary system. Like this is everyone's got to be able to earn a living. Nobody wants to have this cabin fever. Nobody wants to stay back. I definitely don't want to. But the election day thing really bothers me. I haven't made up my mind as to whether or not we're going to do that. And oh, by the way, elections, it's 2020. Elections these days, there's early voting. So we don't just show up. This is not a one-day thing anymore.
Right.
I may be showing up for 4 days for all I know. And do I want 4 days if I apparently do not know if I have the coronavirus, if I don't have the symptoms and I can still carry it on? Do I feel assured giving it to my supervisor and his 5 colleagues and another 5 guys that come in? Because people will come in to vote. We've seen those pictures across the country, even during this time. That's an excellent question. I just wanted to throw that out there because we might have international viewers, and they're all going to say, stay home.
The election day is going to look like you're waiting in line for Walmart or Costco or any of those places. That's what it's going to look like.
We survived the wet ballots one. I feel ready. I'm ready to bust a gut laughing over what you ever hear about the wet ballots? You guys are in Jersey and you're upstate. You didn't hear about the wet ballot general elections a year and a half ago when it rained outside and people put their umbrellas and their wet coats right up to the paper, and there were 2 ballots. There were 2 pages that they had to get in. So the paper not only was a printer and scanner taking in extra ballots, they were getting more likely to get jammed from the water. The water was slipping. It was slipping the motor. The machine couldn't take the votes. And that's why it backed up to the house. I've never seen anything like that. Even in a non-presidential election, that it was possible to get it backed up. Honestly, I still plan to go. I hate it for everybody to mull it over. That's a lot of burden. And it's only gonna get better with time. I'm hedging my bets that it's gonna be life as usual in 4 months. It's David Barry said it. It's not a zombie apocalypse.
No.
So
fingers crossed.
Look, everything else being equal, exactly. It's just going to be one of those deals. But I just don't like the fact that everyone's downplaying that they think it's COVID-19. There's a COVID-18 and a 17 and 16. It's a little bit too much. But I'm ready. I'm ready to get the brunt of the blowback. There's going to be an aftershock after this. That's what I'm afraid of. I really hope I'm wrong from this.
But again, look, we're getting off the little sports.
We sure are, yeah.
So let's just, I'll say a quick thing and say, look, we all know about this. We have to be treated like adults, all right? And maybe 99% of people will be treating as adults, and you always have the 1% schmuck, okay? And we're focused on the 1% schmuck, and where the 99% is saying, we'll do what we can for ourselves. We're responsible for ourselves. This is what our country does, okay? But as I said, I think we're going back, let's kick back to like the NCAA and all this other stuff. I think if you leave it to the universities and instead of the people at the top who really don't understand this, they can figure out how to get kids to school. It's May, and there's no way you can tell me that there's no way. And then for these guys to all throw it out there early, that's a lot of big things. And then you also have to worry about which collegiate football players do want to play. And if they don't want to play, do they
Sure.
forfeit their scholarship? You know, so there's other moving parts underneath the scenes that they're going to have to do. But if you just say we're just going to shut down and we're not going to, I mean, that's crazy. I think that's just a cop out. You know,
I can't
so what
believe
do we
I
got
missed
here?
this headline very quickly. Yeah, Michigan's Eric Bakich is proposing a later start to the collegiate baseball season. In case I didn't bring up the name, you can go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, bring it up.
Yeah, it's right
What do
there
you
on the ESPN header. It was this goes back to SEC setting their plan in motion on May 22nd. They're listed the whole thing. We were just talking about the Big Ten. Rutgers is in the conferences. They are leaving their decisions up to individual schools. If I can share the screen again. Texas
The high
governor
school?
also made a statement. Yeah, Texas governor right here. He believes that football with fans will start on time. Governor Greg Abbott.
Yeah.
There's a whole compilation
Okay.
here. I don't want to list the whole thing and be the news reader. ESPN.com's college football, they have this on their column over here. This is a staff put this together just so we know what the score is in terms of, a guy is already, one of the coaches already commenting that he wants a later start to the baseball season, that it saves up expenses. Yeah, and this is followed up by the Associated Press out of Omaha. They're reporting a group of Power 5 coaches is proposing a later start, not just Michigan. That's very fascinating. That it came into the new baseball model.
Yeah, because college baseball usually starts in February, so now they'll move it back to March. It won't be terrible. The College World Series after the kids are out of school. It's in June.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I went to my buddy's. Listen, I went to my buddy's son. He plays D3 up in SUNY, up in New York over there, beginning of March. You know, they played. They were playing, and then they got shut down. But I think, look.
Yeah, sure. They're playing up here too.
You know, so I
Absolutely.
think I just think that, you know, they, instead of just, you know, we're not back in March again. We're kind of back. We're now in May. I think everybody's got a understanding. I think the players understand what they need to do, and the players will do it because they just want to play ball. They just want to play ball. So if you have to stay 6 feet apart, they'll stay 6 feet apart. They get it. They know what they just want to play ball. You know, so. You know, and you know, there's ways of sanitizing the ball.
Rules, yeah.
You know, there's so everything that they're concerned about. Us baseball guys, we know how to take care of. We do. You know, the bat, the balls. We already know how to take care of the field. We know how to distance. We have everything in place. But you got to let us have the ability to do it, and you got to trust us. You know, and you got to give some of these players an opportunity to play. And see how it goes. You know, obviously, I had a roundtable discussion with 3 dynamite guys on my personal page. And these 3 guys are really prominent here in New Jersey. And, you know, I pitched it, can we get the high school sports, you know, the high school seasons back up? And they said, you know, by the time you get these kids ramped up, it's not enough time to get them ramped up back in shape. And, you know, that's really unfortunate.
For this year, for sure, yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, there's, you know, now you got to create outlets, and I'm a believer that, you know, kicking back to this high school stuff, and you have that high school senior who took their last at bat maybe last May and June, you know, and they're still, you know, trying to get their last things in there for their emotional state of mind. Kids, this is about a mental state of mind. It's not about you know, these kids they're resilient. No,
Sure.
dude, these guys work. You know, they work. They put in a lot of time. And to just shut them out of everything else, that they can't play club ball or Legion or anything else like that, that's tough. Because these kids, they'll shoot down south and play.
It's very tough.
They'll shoot down south. I mean, we had a team up here.
It's a tough situation.
We had a team, a 13U team, travel team, club team, played down in Florida this weekend, and they won the championship down in the coastal. I think it was
They went down. Okay.
They went down. You know, they went down and they played.
Sure.
They went 4-0 to the TBT out there, boys, in New Rochelle, New Jersey. I mean, Rochelle Park. I'm sorry. Good job. I saw you guys did a good job. But they went down there, you know, and now you want to see how when they come back, how everything works out, you know. But, you know, kids want to play ball.
If they came back safe, yeah.
Yeah,
that's another decision travel teams had to make. Were they going to go to tournaments? Were they going to go to tournaments or not?
Well, right now they're only showing
travel around the country.
You're either going to Missouri, you're going to the Midwest, or you're going down to the South. Even
Exactly.
Texas is starting to limp
Yeah.
out, and Texas is like diehard. Those people, I thought Jersey and New York guys are crazy. These guys are like out of their mind. And I thought they're just as crazy as the Texas football guys, but they're kind of limping.
I was going to say football's big down there.
You imagine not having football in Texas? Good luck with that.
They're going to be crazy.
That ain't happening.
Pennsylvania's big too for football.
Yeah,
Jersey. High school football is really big in Pennsylvania and Jersey. Friday night games, sure, absolutely.
You try to tell me Penn State's not going to open? It's going to be It's going to be interesting to see. So
let's see.
AW, what else you got in our last 10 minutes? Sure. AW, what else you got in our last 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, I can do a very quick round the horn little thing.
Hey, you know what? Let's go to that. Hey, let's go to that Noah Syndergaard thing.
Oh, it was really insane, right? I mean, there's a big day.
Last 10 minutes. Let's bring it out.
Yeah, he is going on to the struggles of the baseball players. I know a lot of owners are already putting our show on the blacklist for. I'm going to try to put up the headline from the New York Post. Yeah, he got sued by his landlord over some kind of disagreement with a statement. For a journalistic standpoint, I want to say that I'm still looking for whether or not the landlord has an extended statement to offer the public, or whether or not he's going to let the lawsuit speak for itself. But yes, if I can pop out that little pop-out message. Noah Syndergaard uses MLB coronavirus deal to explain landlord frustration. This was from earlier this morning on the New York Post. He tweeted about it. He had a pretty lengthy, straight up, solid, a pretty concise tweet about, like the MLB did to every player this contract year due to the COVID pandemic. He's just trying to respond to whether the agreement will stand is being debated. Basically, I have reason to believe I got this on my social media feed that, some of the fans were passing it out over there. They feel like he's a little bit in the right. He never even took part of it. He didn't illegally kind of squat. That's the impression that I'm getting. It's a $27,000 a month Tribeca penthouse that we're discussing here.
Jesus.
That is being judged. What a rundown area that Chelsea is in Manhattan, isn't it?
Right.
The responses, but there are a lot of responses like this. The guy is a monster for wanting to live up to a lease agreement signed by both of you. How would you react if the team suddenly said, "Yeah, not to your contract"? So this is we're going to have a lot of follow up on this one. This was one of those things that have really been picking up the headlines. I was going to look up some NFL headlines because the NFL, they're going by everything like nothing's happening in the world. So we might as well just talk about whether they're going to replace the onside kick alternative, and they're going to extend it to a team whether they're trailing, leading, or tied, no matter what the score is. Because we're already killing ourselves about, well, is the designated hitter, the universal designated hitter, going to do anything for baseball? And we're just going to say, now we have another funny little tidbit here. They're trying to pin up the discussion about replacing the onside kick with a 4th and 15 play. This is from Michael David Smith at Pro Football Talk, NBC.
I love it.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
I love it. I think it's great.
I think last so too.
Year, yeah. Go ahead. Alan, last year there's a stat. The Kansas City Chiefs had 3rd and 15 16 times, and they converted to 12. Mahomes and them. There's going to be a lot of onside kick recoveries. There's going to be a lot of onside kick recoveries. That 15 yards, they're going to have plays set up for that.
I don't remember a lot of 3-point plays going well in the XFL. Well, now we're doing talk potatoes. The XFL players, they only had several, kind of extensions. That was the funniest thing I remember from the XFL when, there would be a lot of fans that would say, "We want 2, we want 3." And of course, the New York Guardians, they would only go for 1 when I was there. I was at the home opener. I know the other quick beat that we didn't get to cover in the first week was just basically the odds of the teams doing very well. If I can just finally figure out where my screen went for the Facebook. We're going to see if we can get Stavs back for the last 5 minutes. But yeah, it's not really looking good for the prospect of the New York football teams. Both of them, here it is. They took a composite of every team's over-under from last week, and they made a strength of schedule based on over-under. And of course, look where New York Jets and Giants are. Their average composite wins of their opponents is over 52%. Indianapolis, Tennessee, and Baltimore apparently have the easy.
Hello, this call is being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, please hang up now.
on the shares feature. Yes, and thanks a lot to everybody on the team. Good luck to everyone on the show. They're going to continue the discussion of the coronavirus cabin fever counseling session, as I call it. Tomorrow's that MLB meeting. I'm personally going to be paying attention to that. I hope you guys do as well. You can check out our video on demand. Boroughs of New York. Look for videos like this on the Facebook page, The Stables Network, facebook.com/The Stables Network, thestables.network as well. Thanks a lot for having me on again. Yes, check out Bradley Lewis Walker's show. It comes on right before us. Rick Curdy, the Charlotte Bats. Shout out to those guys on Monday. Definitely give them a rewatch.
Beautiful. Boys, where am I? Show me my skin real quick.
I can do that. I can do that. There we go. There we go.
The hat, baby. It's the hat.
That's amazing.
One of these days, if you guys work yourselves out, I'm going to give you one of these hats.
That means a lot.
Hey, finish that Memorial Day weekend. Say thank you to our veterans and everything. God bless you all for everything you've done for our country. Always remember, never forgot.
Never forget. Never forget.
We love you guys.
Thank you.
Peace out, everybody.
Be
Everybody
safe.
stay good.
Be safe. Wash your hands, and see you guys next week.
You got it. Peace.